Welcome to Your Way Forward, a podcast where you can expect to find wisdom for uncertain times. Our podcast is hosted by me, Nicole Artabassi, along with my friends, spiritual teachers, and intuitive soul guides, Jenny Fairbank and Stephen Ross. Tune in each week as we unpack some of the hardest things that we're navigating in the world, from shared societal challenges to deeply personal life experiences. Our desire is that each soul who joins us experiences truth, love, and hope as they take their steps forward in life. Oh, and I should mention, we aren't just sharing our thoughts and opinions on here. Jenny and Stephen will be live channeling their spirit guides who will respond to your questions in our Ask the Guides minisodes. If you find our episodes helpful and worth sharing with a friend, feel free to spread the word. We're not here to gain a massive following, but rather to be a space for people to find guidance and light on their journey. Now, let's get into it. Well, hello again, folks. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Your Way Forward podcast, where we discuss wisdom for uncertain times. Da, da, da. Here we are again. Thanks for tuning in. If you missed last week, we talked about vulnerability. Big one, especially in today's world. We are all vulnerable and prey. So if you didn't get a chance to listen, please jump in. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to, just so you don't miss the next episode. Today, I'm really excited. I know Stephen and Jenny are excited as well. Satchivan, as we also call him. We're going to be talking about something that keeps coming up. It keeps coming up with everybody I talk to. And it's something that I have a lot of questions on personally, because I've been navigating this topic for my entire life, maybe many lives. So today we're going to bring up and talk about what it means to surrender control. What do we actually have control of? What do we not have control of? Do we have control of others, ourselves? How does that work? And in the state of the world that we're in relationships and difficulties and big deal decisions, when we only have limited information sometimes, what do we actually have control of? And if we don't have control over anything, how do we live life? So without further ado, I want to just bring Jenny. Good to see you, my friend. Love your sweater. All about the love.
All about the
Steve,
love.
all about the love. Satchivan,
I'm
great
glad
to see
to
your
be
face.
here, you guys. It's an important topic, and I hear people mention it every day in my work. And I would say they are always seeking more control, but they get more agitation, anxiety by doing so. They get more restlessness by doing so. And we keep saying more, more, more. But it doesn't seem to work. It seems to create a ricochet effect. That's my observation. So it's an important subject, I think, to try to understand what is it we're trying to control and why. And how we're, again, vulnerability, we're vulnerable to more and more of that. And we want to be safe. We want to be held in this container, but somehow it goes too far.
Absolutely.
Agreed. The more we try to control, the more we lose control of ourselves, because we are trying to control the wrong thing, which is the external world, versus our internal processes and our controlling our nervous system, our emotions, our mental state. That is the work for us to do as individuals, is to gain. I don't usually use the word control. I say taking responsibility for your energy and learning how to work with your energy in the highest way, and to know that you actually do have choice on how you think and feel and act, no matter what is happening outside of you. And that's difficult, because we are taught in this culture of the United States to make everything just so in our world, that we have to have the certain things to be comfortable and at ease, and that we have to take the reins and pull up our bootstraps, as we say in this country, and get to work, and that's how you succeed. And that's not untrue, but it's gone so far. It's taken taken it to the peak of that, and people are suffering greatly because of it and never feeling like they have enough, that they do enough, that they are enough. And that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. And that brings up, I think, one of my first questions today that I just want to pose. And by the way, I'm going to ask some very hard questions because I know I've had these, and I know a lot of listeners probably do too. And, again, just to state, I don't know that any three of us have any answers, the actual answers, but I do know that the spirit, the true, divine, perfect source does. And that's what we're tapping into until we are fully enlightened ourselves, right? Um, I think the overarching question I have as we dive in to the depths of this topic are very plainly stated. Do we actually have control in this life? In this life today, do we actually have control?
And when you even ask that question, what are you referring to when you say that? Do we have control over what?
Okay. I like it. I like it. Do we have, I guess maybe then what do we have control? Maybe that's the better question. What do we actually have control over? So maybe instead of do we have control, yes or no, what in life do we have control over?
Right. And I just need to say real quick that in the shortest answer, and we can go deeper into it, but the short answer is we only have control of our responses in life. We only have control of how we show up. We do not have control of anyone else or anything else, but we do have control on how we choose to respond or we choose to react. And we do have choice in how we feel and think and act.
Yeah, and I want to
Self.
say a couple of things to that because this is what's really hard with some of this terminology. In the crux of a lot of the Eastern yoga philosophy is that don't know our true self. So we are
Mm,
caught in a false self, the
yep.
ego. And so what
Okay.
the ego does is it tries to create safe containers or boxes. And then
Mm,
it wants what it wants. It wants two things. It would feed me pleasure, feed me grapes, give me those things, and I will control that. I make sure that I get all of these sweet things. And I don't want bitter. I don't want to have that
mm,
pain. And so I'll avoid risk at all cost. So it tries to control in an artificial way. But I also want to juxtapose that with the idea of take the reins. Like if you got an idea and you want to do it, take the reins, change different word of control, change it to discipline, follow through action. It's all power-based energy, you see? So we can,
mm,
yes, Jenny's right. When you have a reaction, you can look at it and center yourself in it. But there's also like a need to say, you know what, I'm going to take the reins of life and go fight,
mhm.
and so that's a
So,
different thing.
yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
And that is absolutely right. Taking the reins, taking responsibility, taking action. But the thing is that our challenge is that we try to control the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
We
Okay.
try to
There we
control,
go.
and that's where a problem happens. That's
Yep.
where it lies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Expectation, these ideas, and if it doesn't happen, we fall apart. If it doesn't look the
Yeah.
way we think it should, we fall apart.
Hmm. I remember, I just want to sit here for a second and folks, if you're listening and you don't know me, I'm very vulnerable, probably to a fault at times. I'm great at oversharing. Um, but it's great, right? If anybody can receive from this. So I went through something over the past few years that was very unjust. And I was kind of caught in the midst of some messy stuff that had nothing to do with me, really. And I was absolutely out of control in that, and, um, I remember facing and I'm specifically not talking about what it is just for, some privacy and sensitivity here, but I remembered there being a choice I had, and it was this consistent trying to control the outcome. So when you said that, it hit me deep, right? Controlling the outcome. I was navigating the waters, as I was in the flow of a tumultuous wave. I couldn't end the wave, but it was like how I was swimming in it. And I finally had to acknowledge, and people always say, like, the worst thing that'll happen is I die. The worst thing that'll happen is I lose all my money. The worst thing that'll happen is, and I got to that point of accepting that outcome, whatever outcome may be, which is very terrifying because to accept an outcome that I don't want feels like everything in me fights against, right? Everything in me. And it's why they tell you in the ocean, when you're swimming and you're caught in a current to not fight. Like you'll drown. If you start to fight the current, you won't win. And so you navigate through it, right? And you release. And so I remember going through this, and I remember facing some very scary financial turmoil that I was like, you know what? The worst thing that happens is I lose all of my money. And I let go of the outcome. Now, thank God that didn't happen. But just to your point on controlling of that outcome, I just wanted to speak to my own personal story that resonates. And clearly we don't control the things that happen fully in this life. And so I guess I'm hearing you both say, and maybe I'll pose another question this way. So with that, would you say that from my initial question around like, what do we actually have control over? You think about, do we have the ability to manufacture, like, I guess that's manufacture outcomes. We don't. Is that what I'm hearing you say? So we have no ability to manufacture something. It's more that it all is, and we're responding. I mean, I go back to, I'm going off topic a little bit, but growing up in the Christian faith, we were charismatic, Protestant. And I remember, my family always saying like, oh, the Calvinists, the Presbyterians, they believe in predestination. If anybody listening has heard of this term, right? Pure predestination. It's already decided. So it doesn't really matter what you do. Well, then what the hell are we here for? Right? Like, what are we doing? If it's all decided, why do we exist and live and flow? So do either of you have any thoughts around that?
Yes.
I know I just shared a lot there.
Now,
Whatever you want to respond with.
There's something that comes to me, Nikki, and I'm just going to let it drop and see. But it says we build success. And so we come here to build. We come here to do something. There's an evolutionary part of consciousness that's said philosophically, but there's something that evolves, that builds. We tend to get caught on the end result of what it comes, but you have an idea. The idea, I always say, gives you the picture on the box, and life grows, bless you, wiggly.
Excuse me.
And so life grows a certain way. So we come here to create, to build, to add to life. And I think it's important to not be passive to that, and to use our time and attention and skill and gifts to bring a more beautiful world in small ways and big ways and medium ways. But where control comes in is kind of a rigid insistence and attachment to the way little I wants. And that's where the damage is done. And then also then when things are risky, when things are scary, then we clench and we hold and we try to control the outcome. And it takes a lot of practice, a lot of skill and failure and experience to try to navigate that. I don't know if I'm making any sense, you guys, but I want to
Yeah. The
counterweigh.
metaphor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to counterweigh just it all is, but there's something that we are doing that's a process here. They get like there's something called process theology, essentially that this is evolving and we're here to do something, and these actions matter. Versus passivity. So Bhagavad Gita would say, if you sit in a cave and do nothing, you're doing something because you're not in it. Do you see? I hope I
It's
make
like how we're
sense.
still burning calories even sitting down, just a lot less than if I'm running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
There's always
action in action, right, Jenny?
one action. Yes, absolutely. There's movement in everything. Nothing is ever stagnant. It can't be. Energy is constantly in movement. And, I love the metaphor of the river because it's such a beautiful, metaphor of thinking about moving against the current and going upstream and fighting to get somewhere. And when you let go and you surrender and you flow down the river, you're more in the flow of life and you're trusting what's coming is for you. But when we fight, when we're in the fighting battle of trying to make something happen in life, and again, yes, we need to put out energy. We need to create because we are co-creators of the energy fields that all around us, which is great, and that we need to do that. But take it to when we take it to the extreme of it has to look this way and I need it to be now and I need it to be, and we're fighting, that's when we suffer. That's when we struggle. That's when the stress gets too big. That's when we end up becoming maybe physically sick because our bodies can't handle that and our energy field can only handle that for so long, and then we break down. And so when you were going through what you were going through, Nicole, you were fighting, you were trying, you were like, okay, what do? I don't want to lose my
Right.
money. I don't want this to happen. But then you surrendered. There was a period and you were here with me in that moment in my home saying, I'm surrendering. I'm going to let go. Cause what if the worst case scenario happens? You couldn't do anything more on your part. And so when you realize that you put your effort out, and there's nothing more that you can do first in a certain situation to make anything else happen, then you surrender and you say, okay, universe, source, creator, whatever words of you use for the greater reality, I give it to you. I surrender and I give it to you because I know there's something here for me. And I know that I will learn the lessons I'm here to learn, or I will receive what it is I need to receive. And I'm not going to fight anymore the battle of trying to make it happen the way I think it should happen.
So, so good, Jenny, and I could feel that. The moment I remember. I think a lot of us probably that have surrendered things that we've fought really hard to hang on to, or I guess I'm really taken away from what you're both saying that it's more about the way that we use the word control. Like, people use the word yoga wrong all the time. People use a lot of terminology wrong. Like, let's not get into how people use the word, oh, this is a theory when a theory is proven. So it's really a hypothesis, right? Like, we don't say my hypothesis is. In the same way, the word control, it's really what we're talking about is control of outcome. So
Yes.
that's what we're pushing for is when you're saying like, what do I have control over? We're saying, what outcome can I make happen? Right. And so we can use that more synonymously. And so to your point, Jenny, about like what I was going through and getting to the point, there's this, I mean, look, I've been through it, right? It's acknowledging is that first step of anything. And so maybe it's the acceptance. And so would you recommend, would you say that part of someone that they're facing something challenging and they feel themselves trying to control outcome, is the best way to navigate that to say, hey, I'm going to accept the worst case scenario, or is that dark? Like, how do we position and what posture do we take? Because this is a
Yeah.
real thing, no matter what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We all at some point,
Yeah.
go ahead.
There's a teaching that our Yogananda had was whatever comes, let it come.
Yeah.
And so acceptance is
Mm,
key to surrender, I think. But when
yes.
you say, okay, there's bad news, we can try to push it away, stop it, stop it. I think about something basic like you're going to the airport, your flight's delayed, and then people get angry and anxious and behave badly
Right.
because they cannot control the outcome. Versus then they'd be able to say, okay, deep breath, I accept it. Even I say for people, a conscious like I accept it. I don't like it. It upsets me. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm worried I miss my thing tomorrow, but I accept it. And there's something in that moment that it's almost like you're holding back life when you're forcing. And you say, I accept it now. And then all of a sudden that wind becomes tailwind, you see? And
I've been really good at that part in life, really good at trying to push against the
yeah,
current.
yeah, yeah. Oof, me too. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so when it comes to the acceptance of, because I'm totally with you, and I'm an experiencer of this still, and still clearly trying to learn this. How do we recognize the response? Because there's choices that we all have to make at all times, right? And I'd love to, Jenny, I know I ask you to share this all the time, and I've heard, I think Ram Dass and some other people have talked about this story. I want to come back in a second, Stephen, so don't let me forget. I want to talk about law of attraction and how we manifest, because this is a big piece. But before we do that, Jenny, what you were talking about a minute ago around when we let go of the forcing and just allowing things to happen as they should. I think it's a Chinese parable. You knew I was going to say this.
I knew you were going to say it. I always think about it, and I share it almost eventually with all my clients, because
Well, share it with our listeners. Yeah.
a beautiful metaphor. And you probably know it, Stephen. I'm sure it's ancient. It's about a man and his son and a horse, and they live in this tiny little village. And there's just the three, the son and the man and the horse. The village is very close, so everybody knows each other. And one day the horse runs off and runs away and leaves the farm. And all the villagers come out and say, "Oh my gosh, what a terrible thing. I can't believe you lost your horse. What are you going to do now? This is terrible." And the old man says, "Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll see." And so a few days later, the horse comes back and brings 5 other horses with it. And everybody in the village is all excited. "Oh, what a beautiful thing. Now you have 5 horses. This is so incredible. It's amazing." And the old man says, "Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see." Well, a few days later, the son jumps up onto one of the new horses and takes it for a ride. And the horse is wild, so it bucks off the boy, and he falls and breaks his leg. And everyone in the village says, "Oh, what a terrible thing. Your son broke his leg, and now he can't do anything, and this is terrible." And the old man says, "Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see." Well, 2 weeks later, the son is in a cast. Soldiers come to collect able-bodied boys and young men to go and fight a war. Well, they pass over the boy because he can't, because of his leg. So we love to project, this is good, this is bad, and label things. The reality is things are they just are. It is us that make it hard on ourselves, where we say this is good or bad. What if we just were neutral? I know that's not easy for us as emotional creatures to be neutral, but the reality is it just is. And so there's always something deeper, that there's a reason for it all and why it's happening. And if we can trust that there's a greater reality at play that is intelligent, because energy has its own intelligence and it knows what it's doing, and we can surrender to that and trust that, we don't know what's on the other side of what we think might be bad or a loss. What is waiting for us on the other side of that? So it's really learning to accept what is and be neutral as much as we can, and trust that there's something greater here at play.
Thank you, Jenny. I think about this all the time, and actually, my wife and I constantly when we're at our best selves, we actually flow in that, like, when something happens, or, traffic, for example, backed up. We live real close to Paia and Maui, and there's always this bottleneck of traffic, and it's like, you just have to wait. Like, you just wait right here, and that's okay. And there's a reason beyond us, and so you can't fight against that. I think one of the things that has helped me through understanding how to flow in the waters, but how to flow in the midst of life that is happening, and my contribution and involvement is believing and knowing that there is a greater orchestration happening, that I am a small piece of it. And so to trust, which is the big scary T word, to trust that there are things happening beyond what we can see and what our little part is. And so it's almost like we partner in the greater good. And so but the awareness factor is to what you're saying, like the responsiveness. Like, I was in Costa Rica at one point, and I won't go into the details to this, but I was on this very dark road in a car, and there was this medical vehicle in front of me, and it was like, it had lights in other countries often compared to the US, like the lights were constant, and I was starting to like hallucinate. My eyes driving in the dark with the light flashing for like an hour on this dark road. I was like, I can't. And I just kind of listened to my inner self. And I said, you know what? I need to pull over. Okay. So I pulled over, but there was a car that then got in between me and the other vehicle. And right when I did that, within half a mile up the road, a tree came down on the car in front of me and not us. Right. And I don't know, just full transparency, what happened to the people. I hope they're okay. I don't know. You know, harm is
Yeah.
harm, but there was something that I learned in that moment that like I did listen to how I should respond in this moment to partner with life. So there's still action that I took as a result. We weren't crushed by that tree, which again, not
Yes.
to talk about the other people, because I was like, well, what about them? And you go down this spiral of why.
Mhm.
But no, I love what you're
Mhm.
saying, and
There
I
is
think the
something in
more we
here,
can.
Nikki, I want to
Mhm.
respond to. There's maybe 2
Please.
points I have, you guys, and I'll try to sort of work backwards, I think. The way this was explained to me, because personally, I think we have to be careful of one way or the other. Is it orchestrated? Is it chaos? Is it random events? Is there causality? A
Hmm.
causality. This is philosophers debate this back and forth. One example that our own teacher gave that I thought was kind of interesting was the idea of something like an accident. He actually used a plane crash, but
Mhm.
and that's kind of severe. But to help, this phenomena of if there's a big accident, as you said, the person is delayed. In fact, it happened to me last week where I had a client who just like talked my ear off, and I ran like 20 minutes over, and I'm driving home, and I'm stuck on the highway, going, "Geez, I'm stuck. I'm going to be late." And there was an accident in the highway, and it's that weird feeling down your spine that God, it could have been me, you know. And here I am.
Right. Yes.
Now, it's not a derogatory to the other person. I don't want them to suffer either. But the way that was explained to me was in the plane crash, most people's karma would be neutral. So they might not have a
Hmm.
strong magnetism or law of
Mhm.
attraction. They might not have a magnetism. It might just be neutral. So they're in it. But there'll be 4 or 5, 6 people who get sick, break their leg, delayed, miss the flight, miss the taxi. Do you see?
Yeah.
There's some reason.
I'm gonna just look. I'm gonna need you to explain this one to me.
Yeah.
Just
So some
break
people would
this down a
have,
little bit
yeah,
more.
I'll try to. If there's 150 people in something, I hate to bring up something so gory, but
Hey, the
most
world
of
is
them
gory.
would
Let's all just
probably have,
acknowledge.
most of them would probably have what we call neutral karma. The event itself has an energy and their time's up. There'll be some people though who don't get on that plane. 9/11 has a ton of them. And
Because
so
they were still meant to finish something here.
there's something, some reason,
Okay.
no one knows. Karma, they say in India, karma is so complicated, not even the gods understand. So this is way
Mm,
beyond.
okay.
It's not a deity. It's more like gravity. There's some reason that magnet pulls them away for
Kind of
whatever reason, and
scientific.
we just don't know
Right.
what that is. That's why we have to sort of surrender to it to some degree. But the
Mhm.
point being is that there's a point of orchestration. There's a point of just random events and something might pull you. I've had it happen 3 or 4 times in my life. Maybe there's something I have to finish. Maybe there's something I have to do. Not everyone seems to
S-
get that. Is my point. You see?
So are you saying, let me just ask you very closing a question here. Are you saying that we do or don't have the ability to, I hate to use the word control, but control,
Yeah.
like you getting on that, if you had chosen to get on, if you had chosen to end that conversation with your friend 20 minutes earlier, like then you would have been in the car crash, your car, or back to like predestination. It's all orchestrated already, and you're just in the flow, and whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens.
There's
So,
some hidden
what?
mechanism that would pull you away from it because of some reason, but don't think of it as a deity micromanaging. It's almost like a magnetic pull, and you just are late. You trip and fall and break your leg. There's something that happens. So we're getting into a complex thing here, but the point is that some people just they get on the plane. Do you see? And this
Mhm.
happens randomly, but it's not strong enough to pull them away. I'm sorry to be so
Mm.
heavy, you guys, but I think it's
No,
No,
this
important
it's
to
is
say
good,
it.
and
good. This is I'm.
it's seemingly random, but I don't believe it's random. I don't believe that car
Mm,
accident is random. That plane crash is random. But the people, and I
Yeah,
do hear what you're saying, and it is true, Stephen, like that it's neutral in some degree, but people who are meant to be on there were meant to be on there. And those who aren't going to, because the energy's pulling them away. It is science. It's energy in motion.
It's more like
It's
gravity than it is a deity, I think. That's just my take.
So then would you say that do the both of you, either of you, how do you feel about the concept of law of attraction? I mean, Karen and I, my wife, were talking last night about manifestation. And, we're always, now that we just got married, we're always trying to hook people up. We're like, just manifest them. That's what Karen did for me. And, different ways that I've manifested her. And, the life that we're living now. I mean, we're living a very luxurious life right now. And I'm so grateful and I feel just so humbled by it. But largely, we dreamed this up. We imagined this up. We feel like we did. It was deep in our souls together to want to live in this beautiful island. And so I guess, where does law of attraction and what we put out there, where does that play a part?
Jenny?
Oh, I mean, I believe very strongly in the law of attraction and manifestation. I've done it myself many, many times, and there's a nuance. There's a lot to it. It isn't just I want this and I visualize it and it will come. There's also the layer of what you are meant to do in this life. As I do feel that depending on the level of our consciousness, that we make a lot of choices before we incarnate into a life. Now, I know in this podcast, we haven't talked about reincarnation or karma or anything in a real sense. But I don't know if maybe we could just establish that all three of us, and we are going to talk about this as like our fun foundation, is that we do believe in karma and reincarnation.
Yes.
Yes. And so
Yes.
if you're in that belief, listeners, or not, it's okay either way. But reality
Sure.
is we believe in this. And so
Yes.
if you look at reincarnation and how we have millions probably of definitely of lifetimes and experiences, when you get to a certain level of consciousness, you make more conscious choices on what you're coming here to learn and experience and what your big kind of overarching lessons could be. And so it may be in your field and karmic energy to experience something specific that you're really desiring, and that manifesting it might be really easy. There might be other things that you're desiring that you're like pushing for and trying, and it's not happening. It's not happening. Why isn't it happening for me? And then we get into this like, am I doing it wrong? And why isn't this law of attraction thing working for me and it's working for everyone else? So it's really difficult because it's a nuance, and it isn't that it's all or nothing. And if you just wish it to be true, it's going to be true. It's not that way.
So can I, real quick, this is super important. I'm hearing you say there's a greater purpose that we've agreed to living in this life. There is a greater purpose. And so while it's not wrong to have millions of dollars, or it's not wrong to have that puppy, if I really want the puppy or the $1 million, or half of my friends that are single out there, like, I just don't know why I can't bring that right guy in or that right woman into my life, right? Because there's a greater purpose and lesson that I am going through, or they are going through, that is contributing to the current reality and outcome, life situation, whether I do or don't get it. And so surrendering to the want and the ego, I guess you could even talk about, right? Maybe it's not just ego, but it's desire. I guess desire might be equated with ego. I don't know. I'm still learning some of this.
It is.
But essentially you're saying we look right here, right? If anybody's just listening, like I'm pointing right above my eyes or right in the middle of my eyeballs. We get very tunnel visioned. But if we take those blinders off, like a horse blinders, there's a whole lot more going on. And so it's almost like maybe we're looking through the wrong lens.
Yes.
Looking too narrowly. Yeah.
Jenny, you respond to that.
There's so many things here because it's, yes, it goes back to control, because we want to control the outcome and we think we want this, we should be able to have it. And there is a greater reality at play. And we do have a purpose, many purposes here. We have our main purpose is to wake up to our reality, to our divinity, who we really and truly are, and to connect back with source, to wake up to that. But we're also here to serve. We're here to experience. We're here to have fun and enjoy and to create. I mean, this is an incredible realm of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And we can manifest and create a lot of things. But when we're fighting against something that isn't working, like, I want that dog, and why am I not why isn't it not happening for me? Then what if you just surrender a little bit and say, well, maybe it's not supposed to, and then maybe it will come. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see
But
that happen all the time, right? Like when you let go of the thing you want, you get it.
Yeah, this is a
yeah.
principle called asteya in Sanskrit, or non-coveting. The more,
Yes.
when you stop grasping so hard, abundance comes.
Yep.
And so this is the
Mm.
same as beginner's luck in the card game. And so we were taught this as one of the fundamental natural laws of life. It's like gravity, you can't see it. And so this is important. Is that, however, again, I want to counsel away from passivity. There's desire is an important part of who we are. We desire things. And to Jenny's beautiful points, like I see levels of consciousness as levels of desire. I desire chocolate
Hmm.
all the time. I don't always have it. Do you
This
see?
is a true fact, by the way.
This is
For
a
the
true
listeners,
fact.
Stephen loves
This is a
sweets.
true
He's a
fact.
sweet tooth.
So, but at the same time, we have a level of desire that's higher. Do you see? To be healthy, to be
Mm-hmm.
well, to be happy, to do something. And so at that point, then when that
Mm.
desire percolates, I see it basically in your energy body as a seed that sprouts. Karma is
Mm-hmm.
often written in the old books. Karma means action, you guys, for those who are not familiar with the term, and not punishment. It's action, reaction, but it's often seen as a seed, karmic
Yeah.
seeds. Seeds
Mm.
are roasted. We'll use that. So when that seed sprouts, you are being invited to trust the desire. You're going to have to work for it and be disciplined for it. I'm just talking losing
Mm.
10 pounds at the gym, okay? But that desire is to
Yeah.
be healthy. And so we
Mm-hmm.
work for it and we do our best to create that. When we're coherent in desire, we can see it, visualize it, feel it. It has a coherence that manifests more magnetism, synchronicities. And so that energy field now works for you in that. When negative events happen, to me at least, people are like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to experience it. I don't want to feel
Mm-hmm.
it. So we resist.
Right.
But now
Right.
when we say, no, like that, there, it's here. Work with what you got. Parent the
Oh,
child
I
you've
mean,
got. That's my.
going through sobriety, losing my ex-girlfriend who walked out on me, God bless her, because I'm sure I was a pill to be with. Um, at the time, worst thing that ever happened in my life. I mean, I was in a horrific car accident, and this was right up there with the level of
Mhm.
trauma
Yeah.
and severity of pain that I experienced and confusion and something I wanted so bad. She's the one. I've never loved anybody like this. And to experience the level of pain, to lose them at the time, like the worst thing on the planet. And I look in hindsight, I can't imagine being married to anybody else but my wife. And that is
Hmm.
not who left me. Right. And so I think looking back, I'm like, I was pushing, trying to
Mm-hmm.
control, as Jenny's smiling and knows if you're watching, the video of this on YouTube or just listening. But, she was right there with me. I was a wreck on her outdoor patio furniture by a fire while she was working, running around on the field, her husband bringing me soup and kombucha. This was my reality. I was next to death. And lo and behold, 4 or 5 years later now, I have met the person who I'm to
Hmm.
partner with. And
Yeah.
and so if I had fully resisted and tried to, and I did. I did. I'm a very tough one. Continue to try to control, force the outcome I wanted. The chocolate satisfaction, not that she was chocolate satisfaction, but I was looking to fill that desire versus the greater purpose was my life partner is Karen Artabasi, and she wants the same things I do in this life. She wants to care for the people I want to care for, be on the island I want to live in. Like it matches, our hearts match. And I
Hmm.
just think like, thank God. Thank I'm so grateful that I allowed the process to unfold and not
Hmm.
completely force through that because it is a greater good.
So what I see with people is the stronger they control, the more severe the reaction. It's like a pendulum swinging a cause and effect. And so when they're controlling an outcome to something really strongly, I'm going to say in a false way, like it's gone too much, then when they don't get what they want, they explode. So think of
Mm.
compacted energy that goes boom. Now, what I keep seeing and it comes to me is when that happens, that boom breaks up something in the mind, the ego, the energy, into bite-sized chunks. And now in your explosion, you actually learn about 10, 15 lessons all at the same time. And,
Wow.
and so I think this is important. Like the bigger your reaction, the more stuff has exploded. It's more about the past and the present. It's about old stuff. And now you got an opportunity in your reaction to learn. The tree falls on your car, you lose your car, it wakes you up to something more. So I believe it's compacted in the energy field and stuff happens. And when it happens now, you can begin to learn and grow from it. And so this becomes
Versus having pity on the person whose car got hit. And again, I don't know if they were okay. Instead of
yeah,
having pity and, oh no, poor
we're getting on
pobrecito, we say,
social media
no,
and
there's a
chiding the
purpose behind
council,
that.
yeah, the county for not doing something and how bad they are. Like, no, okay, it happened. It's terrible. Are you okay? But a few weeks later, you realize like, no, there's like 6 life lessons in here. And I believe it's compacted energy that just goes boom. That's the way I see it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that so very much. And also, I think what you said was super important to highlight. It's an opportunity. So not the challenges for a lot of people is that they don't see it as an opportunity, and then the pattern repeats and repeats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gotta control even more because it's not working out, so I have to get tighter. If we start to look at life more as opportunities, lessons are all around us. The universe is always trying to help us to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
If we can see that and work with it in that way versus me against the world, because I think a lot of people are in that place. If I don't, I have to. The ego
Mm-hmm.
has to be in charge, and if not, then I'm just going to get run over by everyone in life.
Yeah.
And so we're co-creators.
Yeah. And this
Mm-hmm.
is an important teaching that we learned. And guys who listen to this one, it says reactivity is personal, circumstance neutral. So again, the
Say
flight's
that again
delayed.
for us, Stephen.
So basically, you're at the airport, 150 people hear the same news, flight's delayed. They don't all react the same way.
Right.
Some are cool, some are stressed, some have a glass of wine, some shout and scream at the desk to get on standby.
Mm-hmm.
And so the basic teaching is it's not about the plane.
Mm-hmm.
The flight's neutral. That's what we were taught. It's your reaction to it that is because of something else, usually. Like the stereotypical businessman whose wife says, if you're not home for little Billy's baseball game on Friday, that's it. And he's shouting at the desk. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, it's really not about your marriage, sir. You should have gone home the last 10 years and you didn't. I'm being silly, but
Right.
this is what's
Yeah.
happening.
No, it's so true. I'm reminded, I don't have children, been around a lot of them. Stephen, you have children. So I'm sure this will hit. And Jenny, you've got all the nieces and nephews in the world. You know, little kids, think about, you get a little treat. You're going to give your kids a treat. All of a sudden they see the treat and they're so excited and they're like, yes, yes, I want it. And then they fight. No, I want the treat. I want it. And so then they're just adamant that they get it. And you have kids that are more aggressive like me. You're going to go there and fight it, get it, take it. You got another kid that's going to be more passive and just be like, fine, that's fine. And the kid that aggressively takes that treat and runs off, all of a sudden the mom comes out with the other treat that they didn't know was coming. And maybe that one's a little bit better. And all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, I fought so hard for this. And if I had just waited till the other one came out, that's actually the better. And I think we do that in life a lot. Like we've, you see people in line at stores. I mean, adults, we're all just a bunch of grown up kids, as my dear friend Aaron always says. Like, we all, just the behavior patterns are hilarious. If you just step back and watch people, same thing with ticket counters and air flights. We always see our best and worst comes out in those moments, right? In the traffic. And I think you're onto something. And it goes back to selfish desire, right? So maybe not the healthiest way, but also if we just let go and surrender the control, what else arrives, right? And I think that's, go ahead, Jenny.
One of my favorite sayings is this or something greater. Like what we're creating here in this healing sanctuary, and I have a vision and an idea and I'm putting it out to the universe. But I say to the universe and God, like, this or something greater, whatever your will be done not mine. And that's a whole nother kind of conversation probably.
Mhm.
But we need to trust. I mean, trust and
Mhm.
surrender. I also make a joke a lot. I should tattoo that right on my body for everyone to see, because trust and surrender
Mhm.
really equals so much peace and inner calmness. And I thought about when you were saying about the airplane and the airport, Stephen, if you recall our situation, you and I were together, right?
Yeah.
Heat, and it was so much snow, our flight got canceled. And you and I were like, okay, let's get online and find another flight. Like, we didn't have any big reaction at all. Like, I was pretty proud of us, like,
You were better
let's
than
go
me,
to
I think. This
I was really calm.
You were
Yeah.
wonderful.
But
You were inspiration that time, and that was a big freeze. I want to bring up a teaching here that I think is maybe important to give context to this for everyone. It's the idea of being centered. Okay, so we said neutral before,
Hmm.
but centered. So imagine a storm
Yes.
all around you. That's your attachments, your desires, your resistances. You're trying to control a storm around you in your mind, but centered is a
Mhm.
still point. If you pay attention, you can feel when you're centered and when you're not. And you can
Mhm.
feel your energy going outwards, and it hooks like a bungee cord onto something you want. You can feel it. And
Yeah.
conversely, when you're pulled away. So imagine we spend most of our life going like this: gimme, 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 stay away, stay away. I'm like this. I can't do it on my little screen, but I'm like this. I'm
Mhm.
never
Yeah.
truly like
Right.
this.
Yeah.
So this brings up, and I know we only have about 12 minutes left here. And people probably have other podcasts to jump onto, I'm sure. Um, you know, there's a lot of unlearning in life, right? We talk about that term a lot, right? And I can't help but feel at 40 years old that we have been handed some life rules that we all have lived by. We've built societies around these life rules.
Yeah.
And if we all look around, it's clearly not serving us. Not to say it's all bad. Let's be very clear. And I know part of our tagline to the podcast is wisdom for uncertain times, right? We're not saying they're horrific times. We're not saying they're tragic, which some of them are, but they're uncertain, right? There's a reason we use that word, uncertainty. There's also, I've learned, peace in uncertainty, right?
Mhm.
We don't have all the answers, and that's a whole nother conversation too. But I think I almost beg the conversation piece of, if we were to create, or uncover rather, rules for life, and I use the word rules kind of in a punny way, but rules for life that do serve us, rules for life that do help us grow and become more enlightened and lighter and to our true self. What does that look like? So for people that are listening, obviously
Mhm.
we're unpacking a lot of deep, heavy things that we could have, 10 different podcasts on, I'm sure, and we will. So get ready. Talk about karma and all that fun stuff probably. But what are some of the rules that we can, and what's another word for rules? What are some of the ways that we can, new ways of living in this life? Because I know Karen and I've established new habits, we can call them, for daily life that have really transformed our mindset, our peace, our sleep,
Mhm.
our connection, all the things that we crave, our outcome of living in this beautiful, luxurious place. Like, what do you guys think about? Like, what would be some of those if you were able to rewrite some of the rules of life? What are a few of them that you guys would just encourage our listeners with to
Well, I'm
adopt?
wearing it on my shirt.
But what does that
My
mean
It's
practically?
always
Yeah,
the
what is
answer. Really
yeah.
loving, seeing everything as divine, as sacred, as,
Mm,
you know, universal energy. Love is underneath all of it. And if we all just loved each other really, truly, and treated each other as equals, as beings of light, as a, a, a product of this oneness, that we're all one energy. That's the problem. We don't remember, we think we're separate. It's
mhm,
this illusion of separation that is causing us so much war and chaos and fighting because we think we're separate than everybody. We don't
So you're saying
realize that
we should love ICE agents?
we should have compassion. No,
Okay.
we should have compassion. Yes.
And we should
I do feel that way.
love dictators?
We should have compassion
Yeah.
because they're living in more shadow energy than light
Mhm.
energy. They are just as light as much as a product of the divine than we are as we are. Their consciousness is different than some. We're all in our journey
Mhm.
of awakening, of a gradual awakening, and some are in more darkness than others, but they're just as loved by the divine as we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's us that feel that way and I understand it. I mean, we live in this realm that looks like I am me and you are you, and it's all about me. We have to pull away from those. And I go back to, our philosophy of yoga, the yamas and niyamas, like if like you live by those alone, or if you're, I know the 10 Commandments is,
What's a yama and a yeah, just definition.
yeah, well, they're like the do's and don'ts. You could kind of liken it to the 10 Commandments, but a little bit different, and they're nuanced. And
Like
so,
principles, right? Like principles to
yes,
live by.
principles of living. Yes.
Okay.
Like Stephen mentioned one earlier of Asteya, non-coveting. That's one of of those. And it's, you know, seeing other people as yourself. Like there's so many stories around this
Mhm.
of saints talking about this, but if you kick the cat, you're really kicking yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't have that. Most of us don't have that reality. And so we just think, oh, you're in my way and I don't like you and I'm gonna, get out of
I
my
don't like
way
what
because
you
you,
did, right? How your
yeah.
pain got messy on me. And I just want to clarify by bringing up ICE or bringing up, dictatorships or bringing up, you know, criminals, that are, you know, in this country and whatever that may be. I just want to state that I only ask that kind of a pointed question because I personally truly believe that we do love all of these people. We love everybody that we disagree. We should love everyone, even if we disagree with them, like, because at the core, there is that
You
is
cannot like someone. You cannot like their behavior. You cannot like
yeah,
what they, certain things. That's okay because it's just where we are, right?
right.
But to hate them, to throw stones at them, and metaphorically speaking or physically speaking,
Physically, yep,
you're hurting yourself as much as you're
right,
hurting them. You're
yeah.
hurting the collective.
Mm.
Hence the walk that the Buddhists did, hence why MLK said we have to learn to love one another, right? And to, hate has no place.
Uh,
So, Stephen, what are your thoughts? What are
I'm going to give you
some
some
thank you for that,
principles that
Jenny.
come to me. Okay, I'm not going to comment directly, but the first of all, there's different levels of where someone is in their psyche. If you are unsafe, if you have experienced abandonment, traumas, things like this, then you're going to not have a strong foundation underneath you, energetically, psychologically, spiritually. And so you're going to lean on control to feel safe again. Those are
Okay.
containers and boxes. And in plenty of cases, that's a good thing. We need a container to feel safe in order to build a foundation. I can speak to people on that level. So this isn't a black and white thing. That's why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
There's different levels of how people are experiencing things, but you are more vulnerable to getting, I'm going to call it a kind of control box, which will ultimately make you feel small and keep you trapped in all these things. And you'll become less happy and agitated over time. So I think it's important to understand that, yes, we need containers to feel safe for a while. A child needs a container. People who've been through human trafficking need containers in a
Hmm.
good way to keep them safe. And this is called boundary. And so boundaries close to control. So I think it's important to say, like, for a certain point, that's healthy. And there's kind of a harmonious tipping point then when we come out beyond that and realize there's a whole other world.
Hmm.
That's when we connect to higher energies. That's when we connect to possibilities. And we have to trust, going back to episode 1.
Hmm.
Surrender has two meanings the way I've learned this. The ego thinks, white flag, I lost. Just give up, be passive, so what? And that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But surrender has a second meaning in spiritual teachings, which is an opening or opportunity to a higher answer that you can't see, to your points
Repeat that
earlier.
one more time, exactly how you said it.
Surrender has a second meaning, which is an opportunity and opening to a higher understanding of life.
Mm.
And you don't, that's what you brought up earlier, what beautifully said. And so now we have okay, I quit, but I'm actually opening to something else. And that's the invitation again. Again, if you've gone through terrible trauma and abuse, you're not ready to hear that today. So I want to respect that.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point when things open that now we can be in those places, I think. So surrender is a beautiful teaching in context, but see it as flow, see it as acceptance, see it as moving into something more. And
this all goes back to, this all goes back to the knowing self, right? Going internal. Because, you think about, I mean, I've heard people say there's no right or wrong, right? There's no, when it comes to choices, I've heard people say you can't miss it. You can't miss the opportunity. And clearly there's going to be an outcome one way or the other, right? There is definite outcomes. We see that all the time. Am I going to wear the white shirt or the black shirt? And, there's, that's a choice, right? I think about my wife, and hopefully she won't mind me sharing this. She was doing a lot of online dating when we first met. And, it was just, for anybody that's gone online and dated in your 40s, like at any age, it's a whole nother world than back in the day before online dating. And, it was just awful. And we were just friends, and she was just dating after dating, and she was just like, this is crazy. And she could have continued to go on these dates with these people and keep it going and all of that. And finally she just surrendered and said, this isn't feeling right. And so she got off.
Mm-hmm.
We were just friends. We fell in love. I'm so glad she got off. I was right there. Right. And so I think, she could have not made that choice, continue to stay that course, and her eyesight would have been not pointed towards me, right? Would have not been able to. And who knows, what if we could have go through that whole, like, which could she have missed it? Maybe not, maybe so. I don't know. That's another episode. But nonetheless, I think it just points to, I want to just comment on when it comes to what we're talking about today around surrender. There's really, if you get still enough, I know at least with me, Jenny, you referenced at the beginning of the episode, just I was sitting in your house, a wreck. I mean, I literally flew from Austin to California to stay with Jenny for a week, out of pure just brokenness and desperation to just get my nervous system in a stable state again. Because what was going on was so atrocious. And nothing magical happened while I was there other than I learned a few keys to letting go and accepting whatever outcome happened. And that was what unlocked the most beautiful outcome that has helped to position not only the end of all the injustice that was happening and in my favor, but opened all of this. And now it's my greatest treasure was what I tried to control away. I treasured what happened because now that what I've taken, the lesson I learned, I now will have the rest of my life. Had that not happened, I wouldn't be sitting here with my lovely prayer beads and my return to self and spiritual trust, and Karen's, spiritual journey as well, and us both seeing the divine take care of us, God, the ultimate creator that we've partnered with to give us the life that we finally have wanted. And so I can just surrender is such a hard thing until you do it. And then it's so much a part of your life that you just can't wait for the next thing. And you're okay with what seems to be suffering or atrocity when really it's just there to help us get to where we need to get.
Reaction is the first line of defense. So what comes out of your mind at that point will probably be just a shield to push away. Especially if it's explosive reactions, it's not truth with a capital T, I think. But you hit the nail on the head beautifully, which is there's a lesson, a gift, a nugget of gold in those reactions. And you can sift through it There's ways to do that. I'm going to create a course on that, Jenny, at some point. But there's a ways to sift through your reaction, take it apart, and realize there's gifts and lessons for you, that actions you can take. And I believe this is why things happen. And so it's what the phrase that comes to me, Nikki. We can sift through these reactions like panning for gold, and we'll find the little nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of them in
Would
there. You
you?
might not get all the dreamy things, but you'll learn life lessons, maybe bitter ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll become more centered, more grounded as you work through that.
They're gifts, and they're
They're
gifts.
gifts. They're
It's all a
the
gift.
gifts. The annoying person who irritates you and you react to them, they become your
Oh
teacher.
yeah.
And so it
Yep.
becomes then two sides, shadow versus shadow, but actually both sides
Mhm.
want the same thing.
That's right. That's right. It sounds so easy, right? This sounds so easy. Does everybody just feel like, oh, I got this? I'm just going to get out there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
surrender control,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
live a life of luxury? I mean, I truly
Mhm.
think it can be that easy, actually.
It
Or,
really honestly
Mhm.
can, to be honest. I mean, and even through the most challenging things, and it's it I would even go with, it's the experience that you're learning from.
right.
The experience. And yes, if you have a big reaction, you need to learn from that as well. Like, whoa, I reacted so greatly. Why did I
Yeah.
react like that? Why was I so
Yeah.
angry?
That's a
Do
gift.
some
That's a gift.
introspection.
Right.
Yeah, instead of just like, yeah, I'm angry. I deserve to be. I should be angry. And then you just
Mm-hmm.
repeat and repeat and repeat, and
Mhm.
you're angry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot, right? And I can
Yeah.
imagine some people are like, yeah, that's me. I'm always angry, or and
Yeah.
it's okay, but you don't have to stay that way.
That's
You can
right.
change that.
Yeah.
I'm hello, recovering reactive person over here. My
Me
wife
too.
always says, back when you were really reactive. I'm still growing in that. And, I have to just give my mom a little credit. She always has said, and, this one phrase, and it sticks with me. She is a fierce believer in God, and has, clings to her Bible and faith very, very closely. And, it's a beautiful thing, the way she navigates a lot of life. And she always says,
Yeah.
she would always tell me, because we grew up, there were some difficulties, and we grew up, and she always just said, where's your focus, Nicole? She would always say, where's your focus? She always said, if your focus is on him, this isn't going to bother you so much. Your focus is, look, you're right here, and your focus needs to be up on him. And when your focus is at the divine, and your focus is beyond. And so I'm hearing through this conversation today, and I know we're going to wrap up here, but it really is perspective, and it really is being okay and sitting and getting to know self, and navigating our response to what's happening, and partnering. If we look at ourselves as we're partnering in this greater world, in this greater realm together, it's a lot less black and white of I push a button and then I get the outcome I want, right? And I
Mhm.
think, again, I just encourage all the listeners today. I hope you've taken away. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. You may need to re-listen to the episode, but I think some really key nuggets are, um, we have been taught to live through very black and white rules of receiving what we want and pushing for it until we get it, to a
Mhm.
place of discomfort, because often we don't get the very thing we're pushing for, because we're missing what's actually happening in the greater realm that is for us and our experiences, to provide as Stephen, you explained, the next level of consciousness, that greater value, that greater, um, I don't know if it would be a need or
Mhm.
purpose, rather, that we're
Yeah.
looking for.
And
And
I would
so
say
if you want to
ideal.
stay right here,
Mhm.
mhm,
Yeah,
ideal. Yeah.
there's an ideal that we aim for. If it's not God, like your mum said, it's beautiful what she said, but you could translate that also as what's your ideal that you hold
Hmm.
to. You
Yeah.
need to have, if you're blind to that, you don't have one, and I think it's difficult in these moments. So yeah, I think having an
Yeah.
ideal would be something to live. Just love, or caring for each other. It's something simple.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
Wow. What a meaty topic. We dove straight in. We did not dip our toe in before we dove straight into this one, did we? So, any last messages, folks, that Stephen, Jenny, I'd love to just leave our listeners with, I think maybe we can just roundtable, all three of us, like any last messages on what does it mean to surrender control, um, as we
I
go
would say
forward today?
return to your center and to flow with life, not push against the river of life, but to work with it. And when you do that, it gives you a lot of power. a lot of grace and
Mhm.
an opportunity, if you can see it that way. And the lessons are there to discover if you
Yeah.
look hard enough.
Yeah. Love it.
Absolutely. Perfectly said. And in addition to that, it is looking at trusting that what is coming for you is always opportunity to learn something.
Mhm.
And that if we can stay a little more neutral and not put the labels of this is good or bad, right or wrong, I like this, I don't like this. If you can come more to the place of what is trying to happen here for me,
Yeah.
and then staying open to that flow of life a little bit more.
Mhm. I love it. I love it. I'm a living proof of this and consistently trying to remember. And um, I just encourage everyone to really get still in themselves and just to recognize, remember the parable of the Chinese man and man, the son, and the who had a horse, and also just know that you're not alone. I just want to tell everybody out there, we're all in this together. And I'd love to, if some of these topics are bringing up a lot of difficult things or confusion or questions that we haven't touched on, this isn't a podcast that is just like, we're going to talk at you and take off. Feel free to reach out. So connect at Wisdom Pathways with an S. So connect at wisdompathways.life, not .com. Wisdom Pathways connect at wisdompathways.life. Both Stephen, Jenny, and myself, feel free to reach out to us that way, and we'd be happy to schedule some time. I'm going to just speak for the two of you as well, schedule some time
Yeah.
to talk, because we so desire that we all can navigate together a little bit easier. The podcast is in no way to promote Wisdom Pathways, but obviously we do have Wisdom Pathways available. If anybody would like to have a reading with Stephen, if anybody would like to have a channeling session with Jenny, or just a somatic healing session, or a processing session with either, I know they're more than happy to. You can find out more on our website, wisdompathways.life. There's also opportunities to join our free wisdom circles on Thursday nights. I believe it's twice a month, so you have to jump on the website to see when that is. And RSVP is free, and you can gain some messages to join there and get to know other people in the community. Be on the lookout. We do have retreats, fairly often throughout the year. Once or twice a year, we'll throw a retreat in. So please use those resources, jump in. And as always, if you're like me and just want to talk to someone else who has a lot of questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. You can find me on connectedwisdompathways.life as well. And many blessings to you. Thanks for joining us,
Thank
and we will
you.
see
Thanks
you
for
next time.
hosting, Nikki. Thank you,
Yeah, of
guys.
course.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon. Bye now.
Till next time.
Till next time. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you are leaving feeling more peace, clarity, and light as you navigate your journey forward. While there's no promotional purpose behind our podcast, we understand that things can arise that may be helpful to process or work through. Jenny and Stephen are co-founders of Wisdom Pathways, a sacred place of personal transformation. They offer soul mediumship, somatic healing, and spiritual resources for all walks of life. If you feel lost or stuck, are in transition, or awakening to something more, visit wisdompathways.life, or you can email any one of us at connect@wisdompathways.life. Tune in again this time next week if you'd like, and as always, share with a friend who might benefit as well. Peace and love.